once again to another episode of the Love Approach Project podcast. This is your host, Laura Gutierrez, and today I'm here with Kathy Wyber. And Kathy is a personal and parent coach. And today we are actually going to be talking about a very important topic, which is shame. So, welcome, Kathy.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. Thank you for asking me. I feel very honoured to be talking to people about this topic. It's very close to my heart. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kathy. I think this is definitely a topic that we all need to learn about.
Yes.
And to bring awareness to it, I think is going to bring healing and a resolution to many people, you know?
Yes,
so,
thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's something we need to talk about more.
Yes, thank you. Lovely. Well, Kathy, I always like to begin with learning a little bit about you and so that the audience also knows how you got to learn about this topic, a little bit about your journey.
Yes. Well, I'll start with, I've been on this planet for a while, so the journey is long. And I'll start with, I went to coaching, which is what I love at the moment. And I went into it because I didn't want to look at my past. I wanted to move forward.
Okay.
And then I discovered, damn, I've got to go back and look at things. Yeah. And so it does start a long while ago. So as a child, I was very quiet, very shy. And I came from a bit of a dysfunctional, troubled home life. And I always wondered, how did people who had difficult lives transform themselves out of it? There were these people in our lives, you know, Mandela and all these people that suffered so much adversity, which I didn't feel I suffered, but shone out of it. And actually it was about the age of 10 that I went, I'm really interested in human behaviour. And so I started really looking and trying to understand people and understand what made people rise above their adversity.
Yeah. And
so I went into teaching because I love teaching and I love children. I always wanted to help children.
Yeah.
And that's my first passion. And I have 4 beautiful children of my own.
Wow.
Who are now grown up and have taught me a lot about parenting.
Yeah, I can
In fact, everything I know about parenting and probably teaching has come from my children, not from any formal education.
Wow.
And then I also did some counselling, and I found there was something else. I didn't know at that stage. I went, counselling and traditional things aren't helping. Yeah. There was something underneath that was causing people to repeat patterns, to stay within the confines of their conditioning or their situation. And it fascinated me. I was a victim of that myself. That was me as well. And I think 99.9% of people are there. Yes. Unless a lot of work is done and we create awareness. And so I went on that journey, and that's when I discovered coaching. And it gave me a new language to understand what was really going on. And that's the place that I am now.
Wow. Fantastic, Kathy. I can't wait to see what unfolds in this conversation. Yes. Mainly because you're talking about learning from experience.
Yes.
And of course from your studies. But I think it's so valuable when we can learn from each other's experiences.
Yes. Every person on the planet has a story. And I love hearing people's stories. I'm a teacher, but I'm actually a teacher librarian. So that is about stories, and we're wired for story, and I love that people can tell stories, and we have this opportunity to speak our truth. So
and to heal through that.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the topic today. So I would love to begin with talking about what is shame.
Yes, and I heard a wonderful discussion about this. So sometimes guilt and shame are kind of sisters or cousins. And the definition of shame is, well, I'll start with guilt. So guilt is what I've done goes against what I believe I should have done.
Okay.
Against my values. So I feel guilty about my actions. And guilt can hopefully make us go, I won't do that again, or I'll learn from this.
Mm-hmm.
Where shame is, this is because I'm bad.
So what I did is because
of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad. It's about me,
Okay.
and that I am the cause of this problem. Not that I did something, but that it's me.
So that you're innately wrong.
Innately wrong. I'm not enough.
Mm.
I feel shame because I should have, could have, and would have done better.
Yeah.
Not that I did something
Yeah.
that was a mistake or not went against my values or whatever. It's because we're human.
Yeah.
Humans make mistakes and we hopefully learn from them.
Yeah.
Shame is, I can't learn from this. It's just me.
Wow.
I'm bad. There's something wrong with me.
That is a huge statement.
It's a difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Is that when we, and I get goosebumps thinking about it because I see children, a lot of children, and they believe that they're the cause.
Wow.
And a lot of adults do too. They've grown up, and even if it isn't this conscious awareness of, I'm the cause of everything wrong in my family or my life, it presents, and we'll talk about that, presents in different ways. There's this sense of, I'm just not good enough. I'm a fake.
Yeah. I'm a failure.
I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I think we have all felt that.
Oh yes, and the reason that this discussion needs to be had is because we have all these problems that we create because of our shame. And they're like the surface problems: procrastination, self-sabotage, overachieving, underachieving. Like there's just a range. There's a million
incredible.
things.
Yeah.
And they're the surface problems. And when people come to coaches to solve, why do I procrastinate? When really the big problem is, I don't feel good enough. I'm never good enough. And it's about that, the shame that we feel about ourselves.
Which is, it's like there, it's pervading everything, right?
Yes,
it's just
exactly.
feeding absolutely everything.
And whether we're conscious of it or not, it's the root cause behind all this surface stuff that we try and fix and think we're fixing. But until we deal with that innate sense of I'm a fake or I'm not good enough or whatever it is, and become conscious and own it and heal whatever that is, these other problems will just exchange for different things.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yes. Oh my goodness, yeah. I'll swap these for it.
Yeah, I'll swap smoking for overeating, or like the list just goes on.
And so, Kathy, where is shame born? Like, how can we get to that?
Oh, well, and I'm not sure how your audience would feel about this one. Our old texts, our Bible, and all our old scriptures and all the old stories talk about original sin, and I know I grew up in a Catholic home.
Me too. Yeah.
We were born with sin.
Yeah.
We had to be washed of it. Well, you know, there are many great things about religion. I doubt, for me, I don't believe this is one of them, that we were born with sin.
Yeah.
And I think that lesson that's taught, if you've grown up with that, there's something wrong with us.
Definitely.
We need redemption.
Yeah.
And the truth is, no one needs fixing. No one. We are all perfectly imperfect. We're human. We're meant to make mistakes. It's where growth and learning comes from. Yeah. And so shame stops us from growing. This is the big thing. Whatever we hold on to shame, we're never going to grow. We stay in that loop of, it's about me, I'm terrible, I'm horrible, I should have done better, I could have, whatever internal language. So shame can be born from that, from just this prevailing, we're all bad. But then it also grows from, so children are egocentric. So as a child before the age of 7, we believe and know deeply that we're the centre of the universe. And it's meant to be that way.
Yeah.
It's but also that means on some level, whenever something is happening within a family, the child believes it's them.
Oh my goodness, of course, because they are the centre.
I'm the centre, so therefore anything wrong in my world is about me.
Wow. But that's not conscious.
No, it's not conscious.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of what we're talking about isn't conscious until you've done the work to understand that this is what's really going on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll be dealing with surface problems all the time. You know, then we call them safe problems, and not the risky problem of really understanding this deep sense of lack of worth or not being enough. Yeah.
So basically, we pass it on in a way.
Oh yes. and I really would like people to take, because dealing with shame and this topic comes with shame.
Yeah.
And this is why it's not talked about.
Yes.
Because when we start talking about shame, it brings up shame.
Because it's yucky.
It's
yucky.
yucky.
It feels like that.
It feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we don't have this discussion. It gets hidden and put down and go, no, that's not me. No. I'll just keep overachieving and do perfectionism because that works for me. It does on some level, but it's never getting rid of that sense that I've got to be better.
Yeah.
I've got to do more, and not being centered and grounded in
I'm enough.
I'm enough.
Where I am and as I am.
Yeah. And so where did it come from again? So there's the two places. It also comes from the language in which parents speak with their children.
Okay.
And this is where I want to go back a step.
Yeah.
Because I want us to approach, and anyone who's listening, approach this with gentle curiosity.
Yeah.
We have to approach it with the gentleness. It's a curiosity around it, of going, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me fact check this. Let me just not dismiss it, not embrace it completely, go, yes, that's definitely me, because that brings up shame.
Yeah.
But to be curious and go, okay, this is interesting. Let me sit with this. Where does this fit for me?
And there would be curiosity around the things that feel that we did wrong.
Yes.
Or that went bad.
Yes.
Or that, okay.
Yes. And so the conversation that we're having today and the conversation we need to have with yourself, there is no right or wrong. There's no judgment, no blame. It is as it is. And when I understand it, I can move forward. And this goes for parenting. So in parenting, there is so much shame, so much guilt. And our parents pass that to it's a generational thing. It's our tribal cycle.
Oh, wow.
And so it's very easy to blame. If we place blame somewhere else or on ourselves, or other people blame us, it's very easy because it takes the focus off what's really going on. Where with gentle curiosity, we can go, okay, let me just sit with this. Feel whatever happens, notice what's happening, and then create an awareness to be able to change.
Yeah. And what happens then when you start exploring like that and you really believe, I am the issue, I am the problem?
Where do you go?
Yeah.
What do you do? Yeah. Look, I've worked with many clients who've had addiction, and their addiction has made them do things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so there is a lot of shame around that. Where really, again, it's the doing. Those things that you did, if we can detach it from who we are to what we've done. So a very big thing that we have is we have what's called identity beliefs.
Okay.
So identity beliefs is I am.
Okay.
I am this, I am that, I am this. And you hear a lot of people who say, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I'm depressed. I'm something else. I'm happy. Or they use emotions as their identity.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, identity emotions is about who you're being. I am not happy. I feel happy.
Okay.
I feel anxious at times. I feel sad, depressed, whatever you want to call it at times. But I am not those things. And so part of this development of where shame comes from is the language that we're told as children, and the language we constantly use ourselves.
That this is like...
I know.
Eye-opening.
And Tony Robbins talks about this in the language, and in his book that he wrote, if you can remind me, that everyone knew it. It was the big thing.
Oh, the giant something? No?
Yeah, the giant thing.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about language and emotions. And so shame develops also through the lack of understanding emotions, our emotional literacy.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, because we suppress emotions we're not comfortable with other emotions.
Oh.
So if we're sat a lot of guys, and if there's guys listening and ladies who are around guys, often anger is the more socially acceptable emotion for a guy than sadness.
Yeah, true.
And for a lot of people it is. And so shame comes from, I feel something and I'm not supposed to. I should be feeling something different.
How am I going to change this? Yes.
I'll just swap it for something else to suppress that. Where the truth is, and this is the truth that I believe, and that has helped me move through this and continue. Like, this is an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
As life goes on, I mean, I've been on the planet for a while, it's still a continuing journey. Yeah. Is that all emotions are true, real, valid, and meant to be felt.
Okay.
And all emotions are meant to cause action.
To call us action?
Meant to make us act.
Okay.
So it goes back to tribe, and when saber-toothed tiger was chasing after us, we were meant to run.
Okay.
To get away from it. Anger is that our boundary has been taken away, like broached. What we believe is our safety. You've gone into my boundary. Whether that's an accurate truth of boundaries is another discussion, whole nother discussion around boundaries. But you're meant to feel angry. Yeah. Because you're meant to say, no, I don't agree with that. With children, often kids will come to me in playground and go, such and such did this. And I go, okay, did you tell them you didn't like that? Mm-hmm. No, I came to you. I say, okay, first thing I want you to do is go back to that person and say, I don't like that. Don't do that. And we're not taught to do that.
No. We're taught that we have to either endure it or be silent about it.
Or be the victim of it.
Or be the victim,
Rather than going, no, I don't like that. And then the other person respecting it. That's a whole nother decision. But if we all did that, we would understand, yep, okay, that person feels whatever, and that's okay. They're allowed to feel angry. They're allowed to feel that without being mean. Because that's the other thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anger is always associated with meanness. Not always, often. People start name calling and making it personal and all this sort of stuff without being able to say, well, you know, actually you've hurt my feelings and I don't like that.
Wow. So shame basically inhibits us from experiencing real emotion.
Yes.
And that means that we start putting something else on top of that.
Yes.
To cover it up.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
to conform to whatever it is that is accepted.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so why do we need to be accepted? So I think that...
Oh, yeah. Well, we need to... Okay, acceptance comes from a survival.
Okay.
We are tribal animals.
Mm-hmm.
We are meant to be part of a group because together we are stronger. And that means that there's this balance between individuality and acceptance, belonging. We need to belong. Okay, and I can hazard to say, and this is something that I've thought about, I haven't found anyone who's said this yet, that most of the world's problems are individual versus group. In communism, individualism versus group. Capitalism, individual versus group. Most of the problems, I mean, I know in teaching, in managing a class of 30 children, it's like catering to every child's needs versus the needs of the group. Every problem that we have is the needs of the individual versus the group. And so this sense of belonging, we have to belong, and we still need to be individuals. And so we bring up a lot of shame if we don't belong. And so therefore, we would sometimes people please, be the hero, and do all these things to belong in a group. You would hope your group accepts you no matter how you are.
Oh my goodness, so thinking about family, which is that initial group.
Yes.
Right.
Which come with their own stuff, passed down tribally, so yeah.
And so then we are born into this family that has already its own story.
Yeah.
And we want to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
it's our survival.
Yeah.
Just think about it as a baby or a child. The big people keep us safe. They feed us, give us all our love. We are totally relying on them.
Yeah.
And therefore, they set the rules to how we're going to behave.
So they have a say in what we feel, think, do. And I find this a little bit difficult to understand sometimes, because it's like, so how can we be us and still be loved, you know? Because we have to conform in some way to what the parents or the caretakers want from us. And
it's dangerous to think that we can walk into our family and go, you are the cause of all my problems. Because, you know, it's easy to do that because it stops us from accepting some kind of responsibility. So let's talk about responsibility. Because we're not responsible for the crappy things that happen in our life. We're just not. The only thing we're responsible is our response to it, which is the word. Your ability to respond. Responsibility.
Interesting.
Okay? It's in the word. It's our ability to respond. So it's got nothing, life happens. Life is going to be up and down and all over the place, and we need to have that responsibility in how we respond. So the same for our family. We can choose our response. So if there was a household of shame in which you were shamed if you felt certain emotions, or you were shamed for being bad, I say, you know, bad, or you were shamed because you weren't like your sibling or your cousin, or, you know, you put the family to shame because you didn't dance when the uncles were there, or you didn't kiss the uncle because that was what you were supposed to do, or whatever it was, then you spent this time going, I need to do that rather than be myself.
To be able to feel loved.
Yes.
Accepted.
And so the balance is being conscious of it. So there are things that are going to be okay for you to do and be with your family and go, you know what, this works and I'm okay with that. And other things that are against your core values that you need to challenge.
And you can then...
And you can do that knowing. And there are times when, if a family is very toxic, you need to remove yourself.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a reasonable thing to do. And that only comes from really, one of the roles that people can take on is the rebel.
Yes.
So they're going to push everyone away. And then families take on different roles, like there's different emotional energies that are acceptable. And often the eldest is the hero, and the second is the rebel, and the third is the comedian.
Oh my God.
And the fourth is the people pleaser. I was the fourth.
I was the first.
Okay, there you go. And it isn't that we deny that, it's that we go, I love parts of that, and is that controlling everything I do?
Wow.
And if it is, okay, create awareness around it. Am I denying other parts of me? Because our family made it that we could only belong if we were in that role.
This is huge.
It is. It's huge. Like, we're just skirting on the surface. This is just this huge iceberg, and so much. And so shame is the root cause of pretty much all of our problems that we have, whether we accept it or not. It's kind of like, I think the Dalai Lama, and in Buddhism it talks about that suffering is part of our humanity, and to me that's our shame. That we've grown with, and that until we overcome that, we're not going to really find our true selves.
So it becomes the biggest teacher.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Thank you. Yes. So when we feel shame, it's an opportunity for us to go, what's this about? Why am I feeling inadequate in this moment?
Oh, that question I think is extremely powerful.
And why am I feeling inadequate in this moment? It could be, you know what, this is beyond my skill level, and that's a reasonable thing. But then to go, well, I'll go find out how to do that, not be powerless in fear, to be then able to go, that's shame.
To believe, oh no, I cannot, I don't have,
I can't, no, so that's not me, my sister can do that. She's the one good at that. I'm not.
Oh my goodness, I said that so many times. I've said it so many times.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah.
She's the artistic one. It's not me.
Yes.
We're innately, as children, we're everything.
Yeah.
We're everything. We're all possibilities until we learn not to be.
Yeah.
And
oh my goodness.
yeah, and that becomes around the age of 7. So before the age of 7, we develop all our I am beliefs, those beliefs that I mentioned before, all those beliefs about who we are, and if that is if we grow up in a either normal household, those beliefs become skewed.
Wow.
And it's the job of becoming a professional adult to understand that.
Yeah.
That's the job of professional adults.
So we are always going to have some kind of conditioning, let's say, or
Yes.
that programming,
Yes.
you could call it like that,
Yeah.
from our family or
always.
that's the nucleus, right?
Yeah.
And so in our childhood, we don't really have the consciousness that is happening.
No.
But it is our role
Yes.
then later to decode that. Is
Yes.
that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you put that. Well done. Yeah, absolutely. It is our role to do that. Otherwise, we are going to repeat it. We're going to pass it on to our children. Again, as a parent, when I first heard this, I was like, oh my God, I have screwed my children. And the truth of it is, and if I can share a little story.
Please.
So I've got, as you said, I've got 4 kids, and I have a beautiful daughter who's just gorgeous, and she's now 24. But when just before her 21st birthday, she recalled that when she was younger, that she was never allowed to be Batman. So I've got my other son who's 2 years younger than her, and they're very close. He was Batman for 2 years. He just wanted to be Batman. He was 4 and he wanted to be Batman. And he was we'd put it on the clothesline and he'd sit and wait for it to dry to be put Batman on again. And that's who he wanted to be, and that's all good. Christmas photos, everything. He was Batman. Much to the disgust of other family members, but he was always Batman. And the thing is she was very little and he was taller than her, and the Batman costume was bigger.
Okay.
And the Robin costume was smaller. Now, as a parent, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah. This
one fits you, you can wear that one, you know. But she, when she retold this story with me, I might get emotional because it touches me quite a bit. Is she said to me, Mum, I remember when I was young, I wasn't allowed to wear the Batman costume. And instead of reacting to it, I went, tell me more, what? And she said, well, I was always Robin, and my brother, who's younger, was always Batman. And it made me feel like, well, actually, she didn't say that yet. I said, well, what did you make that mean? And she said, well, I thought it meant that I wasn't good enough to be Batman.
Oh my goodness.
That's the birth of shame.
Wow.
Now, I had no intention of causing that.
Yeah.
Like, as a parent, we can't predict what our children are going to make it mean.
Of course, yeah.
And we can only do the best with what we've got. Hope that we're healing ourselves, that we don't repeat the tribal cycle. And of course, my reaction to that was, come here, of course you're enough. You can be Batman whenever you want. And that was not it. It's just that this was smaller and you fitted into that and he fitted into this, and that was all it was. And she said, oh, I never realised.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was the changing for her. Like, because I'd actually asked, what did you make that mean? Rather than me dismissing it and going, oh, that's not true, or no, that didn't happen, I went, what did you make that mean? Yeah. And I got to the cause, and I could see there was shame growing there, and I needed to go back and heal that. And of course, for her 21st, I got her a Batman outfit. And she'd had a new boyfriend, and he just looked at us and went, these people are crazy. Like, she's given a 21-year-old daughter a Batman outfit. Like, what is going on? But she just cried. She just cried and said thank you. So,
wow.
I know, but as parents, that question, what do you make it mean? So going back and understanding that children will make things mean things that we didn't realise that was going to happen. And so it's constantly having that openness to it, that understanding and checking in with them.